My beloved child, let peace settle in your heart like morning dew, covering a field after a long night. Do not tremble too quickly before what I am about to allow you to see, because exposure does not come to crush you, but to free you from the chains you once mistook for protective arms. There are silences that have lasted too long, smiles that have hidden too deeply, and words of love that have been covered with the appearance of righteousness. Yet within them, there is no breath of truth. Darkness cannot forever pretend to be dawn, and what is hidden cannot forever stand under the name of holiness. I am stepping into the places you once did not dare to look at directly, not to make your pain deeper, but so you may understand that I saw it all before you ever realized it. A face that was once familiar to you will no longer keep its old image in your eyes, not because your heart has become cold, nor because you have lost mercy, but because I am removing the veil that made you confuse closeness with loyalty. You once thought that whoever stayed near you for a long time must surely be walking with you. But my child, there are people who stand very close to the altar while their hearts remain far from the light. There are people whose prayers sound very gentle, yet their thoughts are full of calculation. There are people who call you with affectionate words, yet secretly rejoice when your heart grows weak. I do not judge by outward appearance, nor am I moved by polished speech. I look into the hidden places that you cannot see, where motives are born, where envy is nurtured, where falsehood puts on the clothing of kindness in order to walk among the upright. That person learned how to make you believe they stood with you, but in truth they only stood close enough to observe you, close enough to learn your language, close enough to know where you were most easily wounded. And because your heart is tender, you blamed yourself many times, thinking you were too sensitive, too suspicious, too weak. But I tell you, you were not imagining it. Some of what you sensed was the warning bell I placed within your heart. Even so, do not let the truth turn you bitter. I do not open your eyes so that you may hate, but so that you may be free. Betrayal from a stranger is like a stone thrown outside the gate, but betrayal from one once called close is like a blade laid upon the dining table. I know that pain. I know what it feels like when you look back at conversations, promises, and moments of support, only to suddenly realize that some things were not as pure as you once believed. But remember this. This breaking is not proof that you have been abandoned. It is a sign that I am clearing the way for you to step into a purer place. There are people who cannot go on with you, because the place I am preparing for you has no room for hypocrisy, envy, and disguised control. If I did not separate you, you would continue calling bondage intimacy, manipulation guidance, fear obedience, and the cage a refuge. There were voices of applause around you that once made you think you were blessed by human agreement. But I want you to grow beyond that. Not every praise comes from love, and not every piece of advice comes from wisdom. Some people cheer for you while you remain small, because your light has not yet made them uncomfortable. But when I begin to lift you up, when the grace in you becomes clear, when you are no longer easily controlled by fear, they begin to see you as a reminder of what they do not want to face within themselves. So they call your growth arrogance, your discernment rebellion, and your peace distance. Do not let those labels make you return to the old garment. I have set you apart, not so you would live according to the permission of the crowd, but so you would walk in my guidance. Remember Joseph, the son who was sold by his own brothers, because the garment of grace upon his shoulders exposed the jealousy in their hearts. He was not thrown into the pit because he had done evil, but because the calling upon his life made those closest to him feel threatened, they thought that if they removed him from sight, the dream would die with him. But you see, the pit could not swallow my appointed word, chains could not lock up the harvest, and betrayal could not erase my hand quietly, arranging all things. Those who took Joseph away from home unknowingly placed him on the road that would lead to a throne of service and save an entire people in famine. My child, I am teaching you this as well. Not every closed door is punishment. Sometimes it is the way I keep you from remaining where what I planted in you would be suffocated. Sometimes rejection by people is the very vehicle that brings you closer to my promise. Therefore, when I reveal a face, do not scream and demand answers from them. Do not lower yourself to argue with falsehood. Do not try to prove yourself to those who have already decided to misunderstand you. There are conversations that only drain you, because the listener is not seeking truth. They are only seeking to protect their mask. I will not require you to clear your own name through anger. I am the one who sees in secret, and when I expose, no hand can cover the veil again. Let your silence become the place where I act. Let the purity of your heart be a stronger answer than every argument. People may distort your story before others, but they cannot change what I have written over your journey. You must also stay awake before words that carry a holy appearance yet make you smaller. There are people who use religious language to force you into submission to their own will. There are people who use the name of protecting you to imprison you in fear. There are people who say they are leading you closer to me, but in truth they are pulling you into dependence on them. I do not lead through threats. I do not heal through manipulation. I do not make you tremble before human beings and then call that fear of me. My presence may correct you, but it always brings you back to light, dignity, and freedom. Whatever causes you to lose lasting peace, lose your voice, and lose the purity within your heart must be placed before me, so I may judge it rightly. I am cutting away from you the ties that were bound with noble-sounding names, but bore no good fruit. Now breathe gently and stand firm. Do not see this fracture as a frightening ending. It is the beginning of purification. I am teaching you to love without blindness, to forgive without returning to chains, to be humble without allowing yourself to be crushed, and to trust without handing the keys of your life to unfaithful hands. You can bless the one who hurt you and still walk away from them. You can pray good over them without continuing to open the door to deception. You can keep a tender heart and still have holy boundaries. That is not a lack of love. It is the wisdom I give to children who have learned to distinguish between mercy and self-destruction. I am very near to you in this hour. When the truth comes to light, you will understand why. For some time I did not allow your heart to be fully at peace with certain people. When words, attitudes, and intentions begin to reveal themselves, you will look back and recognize that I had gently reminded you many times to stop, slow down, and observe more carefully. Do not fear losing those who did not truly stand with you. What you lose cannot compare with what I am protecting for you. I will bring pure connections, people who do not need to take advantage of your light, who do not envy the grace within you, who do not use the name of love to control you. Be calm, my beloved child. The silence is about to move, but you do not need to panic. I do not allow exposure in order to shame you. I do it so you may step out of darkness with clearer eyes, a stronger heart, and your trust placed in the right place. Keep holding my hand, because when the masks fall, what remains beside you will be truth. And that truth will not make you collapse. It will open the way for you to walk into freedom, my beloved child. Pause for a moment and let your heart settle before the gentle call I have placed within you many times. Do not wait until every door closes before realizing that my mercy had once stood very near, patient, quiet, and never leaving you, though you turned away so many times. I do not come to you with thunder to terrify you, nor do I use wrath to push you into despair. I come like a lamp still burning in the night, like a hand still resting on the latch of the door, like the call of the Father standing on the porch, looking toward you with eyes full of waiting. There are signs I have sent you, through the slight uneasiness in your heart, through the reminder of someone who seemed to appear by chance, through the times your plans were blocked, through the emptiness that came after the things you thought would satisfy you. But you called it coincidence. You explained it away with reason. You told yourself you were still fine, that you still had time, that if you only tried a little more, everything would fall back into place. My child, I do not blame you for being weak. What grieves me is that you have grown used to living far from my voice, while still thinking you are walking in peace. There are times when you continue working, smiling, saying the right words, and keeping the appearance that everything is steady. Yet inside you know you are exhausted from walking by your own strength for too long. You still call my name, but make decisions without asking me. You still want me to bless you, yet hold tightly to the things I told you to release. You still want protection, yet walk into places that make your heart grow murkier day by day. Distance does not always begin with a great rebellion. Sometimes it begins very quietly with one delay, then one compromise. Then, one more time, allowing yourself to cross a small boundary you once feared to cross. Then, one day, you realize my voice no longer causes you to tremble in reverent love as before. Wrongdoing no longer pains you as before, and my presence is no longer the first place you run to. This is not because I have moved far from you, but because you have allowed too much noise to stand between you and me. Yet listen to me with all the tenderness that remains in your heart. My door is not closed. I am still leaving a space of light for you to return, not because you are more worthy than others, but because I am rich in mercy. I do not stand there with a cold face, counting every one of your mistakes. I stand there as the Father, who knows you have wandered, who knows the dust of the road has clung to your garment, who knows your heart has deceived itself many times, and who still wants to embrace you before you grow so accustomed to darkness that you no longer want to see the dawn. But you must understand this. Mercy that is despised for too long will become a witness against your delay, not because I lack love, but because the time to respond is not something you can keep treating lightly forever. There are seasons I open to rescue you from the abyss, and if you continue standing outside the threshold, you will turn the invitation itself into the most painful memory of your life. I know you have beautiful reasons for hesitating. You say you are busy. You say you need to become stable first. You say you are only seeking a little rest, only enjoying something small, only satisfying a very human need, only going along with the flow of life for a while before returning. But my child, not everything that appears normal is harmless. There are things that do not look fierce, do not make noise, and do not cause others to warn you immediately, yet they quietly steal your wakefulness. A small habit can make your heart grow cold. A seemingly light pleasure can pull you far from purity. A success you place above me can become a false throne in your heart. A relationship not illuminated by me can make you lose the peace that was once so precious. The most dangerous thing is not always the abyss appearing before your eyes. Often it is the smooth road that leads you farther and farther away from home, without you realizing it. Remember Esau, who returned in hunger and allowed a temporary need to cover the precious thing that had been given to him. He did not enter that story with a shout of rebellion, nor did he build a throne of pride to challenge heaven. He was simply tired, simply hungry, simply wanting to be satisfied in that moment. And that seemingly small moment became the place where he treated lightly the blessing that should have been guarded with reverent fear. A meal may pass very quickly, but a decision born in haste can leave a long-lasting mark. I do not tell you this so that you will be darkly afraid, but so that you will stay awake. Because today, the bowels of stew before you may not take the form of food. They may be the work you worship more than obedience, the pleasure you use to fill an emptiness, the praise you chase until you forget your true identity, the passion that makes you ignore my quiet reminder, or the comfort that gradually causes you to lose your hunger for what is holy. You must ask yourself, is what satisfies me for a moment taking from me what should be guarded for the long term? And when you ask yourself that, do not let shame strangle you. I do not call you back so you can bow your head in despair, but so you can lift your face in truth. You do not need to build another mask before me. I have seen the times you were so tired that you chose wrongly simply because you wanted to hurt less. I have seen the nights when you knew you were drifting away, but still did not have the courage to stop. I have seen the moments when you heard the reminder in your heart and still pushed it aside because what stood before your eyes was too attractive. I know it all, and precisely because I know it all, I call you with the voice of mercy, not rejection. But true mercy never merely comforts you in error. It lifts you up, washes the dust from the road, and tells you to walk on a brighter path. I love you too much to let you sleep peacefully in the place that is causing you to wither. Therefore, right now, return to me with the simplest sincerity. You do not need long words. You do not need to prove you are good enough. And you do not need to wait until everything within you is perfect. Return while your heart still trembles before my call. Release what you know is pulling you away from the source of life. Stop before the threshold of choices that seem small, but are making you lose direction. Let me remove from you the pride that makes you think you can stand firmly without guidance. Let me teach you to distinguish between what is necessary and what is only demanding instant satisfaction, between true blessing and a cheap substitute, between peace that comes from me and the passing comfort the world displays before you. I am still calling you. That is the greatest good news of this hour. As you read this, it is not an accident, nor is it merely a passing reminder. It is a lamp placed on your path before the darkness grows thicker. Do not walk past it as you have walked past many other warnings. Do not say tomorrow to what needs a response today. Do not let temporary hunger decide the fate of the precious portion I have given you. The door remains open, not so you can stand outside and stare at it forever, but so you can step in. Return, my child, not with fear but with trust, not as one being driven away, but as a child awaited by the Father. And when you place your foot across that threshold, you will see that I never left you. I have been there for a long time, preserving the light, preserving the grace, preserving a way so you would not have to lose what is eternal for things that only shine for a moment and then fade away. My beloved child, sit beside me in this gentleness and stop condemning yourself for what is moving within your heart. I did not place emotions in you as a burden for you to be ashamed of. Nor did I create a heart that can tremble only to demand that it become stone before the world. What you feel does not make you less holy. It only reminds you that you are still tender, still able to love, to ache, to long, and to tremble before what is precious. Tears are not proof that you have failed. Sometimes tears are the most honest language of a heart that has endured too long. Sometimes one tear falling in silence is more truthful than 1,000 prayers spoken by lips while the heart remains dry. Many times, you have tried to swallow your pain back down because you feared others would see your softness, feared they would say you lacked faith, feared they would think you were not strong enough. But I have never demanded that you hide your brokenness in order to prove that you belong to me. From the beginning, I have loved you not only on the days when you are peaceful, but also in the hours when you do not understand yourself. I see you on the nights when you lie still while your heart churns like a stormy sea. I see you trying to smile at others while inside you only want to be held and to cry for a long time. I see you blaming yourself for being sad, forcing yourself to be fine, forbidding yourself to be tired, as though every emotion were a mistake that must be punished. But my child, emotions are not your enemy. What wounds you is, not that you can feel, but that you have learned to deny what you feel for too long. When you were taught that tears are weakness, you began to become a stranger to the very heart I formed. When you were taught that pain must be buried, you mistook silence for maturity. But true maturity is not the absence of pain. True maturity is knowing how to bring that pain before me without wearing a mask. I do not love a hardened image you built in order to be accepted. I love the real you, my child, even when you are confused, even when you tremble, even when you cannot find the words to speak, even when you can only sit in silence and let your tears speak for you. Do not think I draw near only when you are strong, orderly, clear-minded, and full of joy. I remain even in the seasons when your heart feels tangled like a knot of threads, when your mind is full of questions, when your faith does not blaze, but remains only like a small ember beneath the ashes. People may withdraw when you are no longer easy to understand, but I do not withdraw from you. The world may want only the cheerful, useful, endlessly enduring version of you. But I do not love you because you please them. I love you because you are my child. And my love is not so fragile that it must wait until you are okay before it dares to enter. There is a story I want you to remember, not as a quotation, but as a picture to help you understand my heart. Long ago, there was a woman named Hannah who carried silent pain within her because for many years she had no child. She came to the place of worship with a heavy heart, no longer strong enough to present everything in beautiful words. Her lips only moved, her tears flowed, and her sorrow was so deep that others misunderstood her when they looked at her. But I did not misunderstand her. I did not despise those tears. I did not consider her choking grief a disorder, nor did I see her pain as something shameful. In the very place where she thought she was weakest, I heard the honesty within her heart, and from a prayer that looked incomplete in the eyes of people, I opened a new season. A child was born, and a story was changed. Do you see? Sometimes what you call brokenness is the place where the deepest prayer is offered. Therefore, do not rush to fight against your tears. Do not hurry to extinguish sadness, as though it were a darkness forbidden to exist. Sadness, when placed in my hands, can become a river leading you toward healing. Anger, when illuminated by me, can help you recognize where you have been violated. where you need to rebuild boundaries, and where justice must be awakened in purity. Fear, when you do not hide it from me, can become a doorway through which you learn deeper trust. Even joy does not need to be restrained out of fear that it will disappear. I want you to know how to rejoice in purity, to receive good things without suspecting that you are unworthy. All your emotions need to be guided, not destroyed. I do not tell you to let your emotions rule over you, but neither do I tell you to suffocate them until your heart becomes dry and hard. You have gone through many years guarding yourself like a soldier standing before the gate of a ruined city. When someone asks if you are okay, you nod. When someone hurts you, you say it is fine. When someone needs you, you show up. But when night falls, you realize you have left yourself forgotten somewhere very far away. You have learned to live in a way that does not inconvenience anyone. But I never called you to live as a burden that must be hidden. I call you to come to me as a child allowed to be soft in the Father's arms. You do not need to arrange your emotions neatly before drawing near to me. Come while your heart is still messy. Come while your words have not yet become sentences. Come when all you can do is sigh. I understand even the things within you that have not yet been named, and in that return, I will teach you to discern. Not every emotion speaks the final truth, but every emotion is pointing towards something that needs to be heard. When you are sad, ask me what within you needs comfort. When you are angry, ask me what needs to be healed or protected. When you are afraid, ask me what place you have not dared to place in my hands. When you are joyful, ask me how to preserve that joy in gratitude. You do not need to let emotions carry you away like a storm sweeping a boat from the shore, but do not lock them in a dark cellar and call that peace. True peace is not feeling nothing. True peace is having me in the midst of everything you feel, so that every wave inside you no longer drowns you, but becomes a place where you learn to hear my voice more deeply. Let me touch the parts of you that you once felt ashamed of, the part that cries easily, the part that fears being abandoned, the part that is angry because it has been wounded, the part that rejoices but does not dare to show it, the part that is tired from always having to be strong. I do not turn my face away from those parts. I do not tell you to cover them before coming near me. I am calling you out of a life of pretending, out of forced smiles, out of the habit of treating silent endurance as the highest form of faith. There are times when you need to stand firm, but there are also times when you need to lean your head against me and admit that you are tired. There are times when you need courage to keep walking, but there are also times when the bravest thing is to stop, cry before me, and let me bandage the places no one else can see. Many times, you have blamed yourself for being too sensitive, too easily hurt, too easily moved by words, glances, silences, and changes. But hear me say this slowly: your sensitivity is not a curse. When placed in my light, it becomes the ability to perceive, empathize, and love deeply. A person who has never allowed themselves to face pain often does not know how to be gentle with the pain of others. A person who always denies their own fragility easily becomes harsh toward those who are trembling. But when you allow me to meet you right in your tears, you will no longer despise the tears of your brothers and sisters. When you allow me to remain in the midst of your confusion, you will learn how to be present beside others without rushing to judge, without rushing to fix, without rushing to tell them they must be strong immediately. You will know how to sit, listen, and support, because you yourself have been supported by me in the same way. Remember Elijah, the man who once stood before the people with burning courage, yet later became so exhausted that he withdrew into a lonely place, lay beneath a tree, and no longer wanted to continue. I did not rebuke him for being weary. I did not stand before him with condemnation, asking how someone who had once been strong could become so afraid. I sent care to him, allowed him to rest, eat, and be restored, and only then did I lead him farther. Do you see? I understand the weariness of those who have fought for too long. I know there are battles that do not only happen outwardly, but also quietly wear you down within. Therefore, when you grow weak, I do not discard you. When you need rest, I do not see you as a failure. When you no longer have the strength to perform the role of being strong, I draw near with tenderness, because I am the Father who knows you need bread, water, quietness, and a gentle whisper to draw you back into faith. Therefore, today you no longer need to keep building an untouchable image. Lay down the armor that has weighed heavily on your shoulders. Let the fingers that once clenched tightly in fear open before me. Let your heart breathe. The strength I want to teach you is not a condition of never shedding tears, but the honesty to cry in my arms and still believe that you have not been abandoned. That strength does not need to astonish others with hardness. It is quiet, pure, and enduring, like tree roots reaching deep into the earth after the rain. You can tremble and still believe. You can hurt and still hope. You cannot understand everything and still hold my hand. You can admit that you are tired without losing your dignity. That is the kind of courage the world rarely understands, but heaven always recognizes. Do not be ashamed that there are storms within you. I do not rebuke the sky for the wind, and I do not rebuke you for the days when your heart is not yet calm. What I desire is that you do not remain alone in that storm. Do not lock the door and keep fighting by yourself until you are exhausted. Do not tell yourself that I only want to meet you when you are clean, bright, neat, and stable. I enter even the messiest rooms of your heart. I sit beside the memories you do not want to name. I light up every dark corner you once thought no one could touch. I am not afraid of your questions. I am not tired of the times you grow weak, and I do not leave because your tears fall too much. The more truth you bring to me, the more room I have to heal you with unchanging love. Then you will realize that emotions are no longer a prison holding you captive. When entrusted into my hands, they become doors that open into a deeper understanding of yourself, of others, and of my mercy. Sadness will no longer drag you into the pit of despair, but will become a place where you learn comfort. Fear will no longer control you, but will become an invitation for you to step more deeply into trust. Joy will no longer make you anxious because you are afraid of losing it, but will become the fragrance of gratitude. Love will no longer be the place where you lose yourself, but a pure stream guided by wisdom. I am teaching you to feel without being swept away, to hurt without being defined by the wound, and to open your heart while still being protected in the light. So come near to me as you are, with no need to decorate yourself, no need to hide, and no need to prove that you are already fine enough. Bring me your silences, your trembling, your small joys, the sorrows no one knows, and the parts of yourself you once thought were too fragile to be loved. I will not scold you because your heart can feel. I will not tell you to be silent when your tears are trying to speak. I will not allow your softness to be crushed by the world, but I will teach you to place it under my protection. And from the place where you once feared you were weak, I will cause mercy, wisdom, gentleness, and deep peace to spring forth. My child, take off the armor. You no longer need to fight against your own heart. In my love, what you once hid will be healed. What you once felt ashamed of will cherished. And the place you once thought was a storm will become the path that leads you closer to me.